Welcome to the Power Is Now Radio. Your host and founder of the Power Is Now Incorporated, Eric Frazier.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Power Is Now. My name is Eric Frazier. Thank you for joining me this evening. It's Tuesday night, March 3rd, and it's another first-time Homebuyers Seminar. And I am just excited about the information we're going to share with you today. Every Tuesday, every first and third Tuesday of the month, we try to bring information that can make a difference in the lives of first-time home buyers, and it just always excites me to do this and to help people understand what it takes to become a home buyer. For those of you who are watching or listening for the first time, welcome to The Power Is Now. Please go to thepowerisnow.com, and there you'll find everything that's going on, online radio, online TV, online magazine. And so welcome to all of you who are listening on podcasts. You can find us on any podcast. We start with Blog Talk Radio. Please subscribe to our magazine at thepowerisnow.com, where you can read great information about buying real estate and also blogs about real estate as well. Every first and third Tuesday of the month, you can find us live on Facebook. And our goal at 7:30 in the evening is to share information about real estate and about how to get real estate financed. And that's what I do. That's my job as the host of The Power Is Now, and the job of my fellow real estate agents. So I'm not alone, folks. I have VIP agents. And in fact, you can find all of our very important agents who work with The Power Is Now. We promote and support on our website under thepowerisnow.com. Look under VIP agents, and you'll find a host of VIP agents throughout California and in other states. If you're interested in learning more about the VIP agent program as a real estate professional, please reach out to me. I'll be happy to explain what's going on. In addition to being a host of The Power Is Now, I'm also a vice president and mortgage advisor for the First Bank, that is. First Bank is a mortgage bank and a commercial bank, a lender that's been in existence since 1910. And I'm proud to be a member of the team. My license number is 461807. You can go to firstbanks.com to learn more about First Bank. The views and opinions I share in this show are my own and do not necessarily represent that of First Banks or any of the other organizations that I may be affiliate with. So tonight we're going to be talking about CalFHA, a recent change that took place that's effective today, actually yesterday with CalFHA that may impact some of you who are looking for down payment assistance. And we're going to do a brief overview of CalFHA. And then we're going to talk about some of the, the 8 reasons why, or things you should know, or steps you should take in buying a home. So, but before we begin, I want to invite Jenny Gonzalez, our VIP agent extraordinaire out of Corona, California. Welcome, Jenny, to Power Is Now First Time Homebuyer Seminar.
Good evening, Eric. And as usual, I have the pleasure of dealing with you today. I am Jenny Gonzalez with Keller Williams Corona. My cell phone number is 951-316-0374. My license number is 0124-9788. And my email is jengonzalezre@gmail.com.
Well, Jenny, it's always a pleasure for me to have you on, so I'm glad you're here. And tonight, it's just you and I. Some VIP agents are taking the time out to vote, I guess. And in fact, that's what's happening, folks. Just so happens our first-time homebuyer seminar is coinciding with voting. And we hope that all of you have gotten out to get your voting done. And in fact, I was watching the news earlier today, and I saw that the news media is already predicting that Joe Biden might be the winner, with only about 25% of the votes in. So we'll see what happens with the primary here.
Yes, I voted very early this morning.
Oh, did you? Yes. Well, you got it in. You got it in. Good for you. You know, one of the privileges we have as Americans is the right to vote. It's something that we take for granted, and all you have to do is watch what's going on in the Middle East and other parts of the country know what a blessing it is that we can be a civil society and actually vote our leaders into the office and not have to make every change in leadership by a military coup, right?
That is correct. We are in a free world and a free society, and it should be that way.
That's right. So, Jenny, before we get into Cal FHA today, why don't you take a moment and talk about what's happening in your market area? You know, with interest rates dropping, we all heard in the news the Fed is dropping the federal discount rate, and there's an indirect consequence to mortgage rates, not a direct. The Fed does have a huge influence on what the markets do, and it is the markets that actually determine interest rates, and at least the 30-year fixed rate is pegged to the 10-year bond and other economic activity. So tell us what you're seeing and experiencing in beautiful Corona, California, and elsewhere.
What I'm experiencing is a complete weirdness to last week.
Yeah.
We have rates being locked at between 2.75% and say 3.25%, depending on what your loan is. And we're seeing an uptick again in prices. So last week we had a little downtick a little bit, but then we went up 20,000 this week to about 624 being our medium sales price.
Now, I'm amazed at that, Jenny. 624,000 is the medium sales price in Corona?
Yes, yes. I'm trying to figure out what's, usually when the rates go down, because things are going down, and what did I tell you at the end of last year, we were predicting rates, and you and who else were arguing with me about where it was going to go, and I said it was going to go down to 2%, and Joe Fisher, who just joined us, said it would never do it, and you said it would never do it, and I was right.
No, I think that was, it may have been Kenny Sessions, not Joe.
Was it Kenny? Okay.
Yeah, I think it was Kenny, but I'm surprised, but then again, I'm not surprised.
I think based off of what I experienced the last time we went through this, I saw how.
Uh-oh, looks like we lost Jenny. Let's see here. Looks like we lost Jenny. She'll come back here shortly. Well, I'm not surprised that prices are going up in Corona. Corona is, perfectly located near Orange County and near the Inland Empire. You have the toll roads and to get over to Orange County pretty quickly. So it doesn't surprise me that we'll see property values continue to rise, not just there, but throughout the Inland Empire. We're going to see more and more property values arise because of the affordability of the Inland Empire and the ever increasing demand for housing, affordable housing in the Inland Empire. So I don't know, we have Joe Fisher. He has joined us, and Joe, I'm not sure, we can't see you, but we may be able to hear you if you turn your mic on, and we'll wait for a minute or two for Jenny to come back on and talk more about Corona, California. Now, Joe hails out of Richmond, California. He's one of our extraordinary real estate professionals, a VIP agent. In fact, I'll be down in Richmond, California in a couple of weeks to do a first-time homebuyer seminar. So I'm really looking forward to that and working with the Fisher team. Now, I'm going to do an overview, just a quick overview of a program that I believe has been very instrumental in helping me put a lot of people into homes, and that is Cal FHA. Now, Cal FHA is a down payment assistance program for first-time home buyers. You have to be a first-time home buyer. And what's amazing about this program is that you can buy a home as high as $795,000. That's the maximum sales price to purchase a home under this program. And get this, at $795,000, you can get down payment assistance. So you have to know that anyone who can probably qualify from a debt ratio standpoint for $795,000 home you would think, why would they even need down payment assistance? Huh? Well, you'd be surprised where everyone is. But they can get down payment assistance. And the change, though, that has taken place has to do with how much they can get. So Cal FHA, first of all, is for first-time home buyers, maximum sales price $795. And a first-time home buyer is a person who has not owned a home in the last 3 years. So let's make sure we're clear on that. Not owned a home in the last 3 years. One other thing about the Cal FHA product is that you can only buy a single family home. So you can't buy a 2-unit or 3-unit or 4-unit. In fact, it has to be zoned for single family. So single family homes up to $795,000, and you must be a first-time home buyer. In addition to that, your FICO score, it has to meet the minimum of 660 if you're purchasing using FHA, 680 if you're using a conventional loan. So 660 and 680. So you've got to have pretty decent credit to fit into the program. And not only that, but your debt to income ratio can't be more than 45%. And how do you calculate that? You take the new house payment on the home you're going to buy, add in your car payments and credit card payments and other things like that. And that total can't be more than 45% of your gross income. So that's something you need to take in consideration when you're applying for down payment assistance with Cal FHA. So prior to March 2nd of this month, you could get 3%, 3.5% for FHA of the purchase price, 3.5% of the purchase price, and 3% of the purchase price for conventional for down payment assistance. So imagine a $700,000 home, 3% would be $21,000 on a conventional loan, and it would be about $24,500 on an FHA loan. Now, on the new program, under the change, you are limited to $10,000. $10,000 is the maximum you can receive in down payment assistance for the conventional program or the government program. Now, there is one exception, and that is if you are a school or a school employee or a fire department employee buying a property that is new construction, a manufactured home, or a single family residence with an ADU, you can get 3%, the full 3%. But if you're not, then you're limited to 3% or $10,000, whichever is less. So when you think about that, 10% or $3,000, whichever is less, if that means that if you are not a school employee or a fire department employee, and you're not buying new construction or a manufactured home or a single family home with an ADU, you're limited to about 300 and maybe 25,000 approximately. You just can't get 3% or $10,000, whichever is less. It's the maximum you can get. Now, if that's all the money you have, then again, that's going to significantly bring down your purchase price. Now, in addition to being able to get down payment assistance, you're also able to get closing cost assistance. And that closing cost assistance is called ZIP, a zero interest program. And that's at zero interest, literally zero interest. And you can get up to 3%. And that's the full, there's no limit, there's no dollar cap here. So on a $700,000 loan, you can get $21,000. $500,000 loan, $15,000, and that's towards your closing costs. Now, what I like about these programs is that are the terms. So whether you're getting the My Home at $10,000 or 3%, whichever is less, or you're getting the ZIP at 3% of the purchase price, or actually would that be of the loan amount with mortgage insurance, or the maximum loan amount on a conventional loan, whether you're getting either one, the terms are fantastic. You see, on the My Home, there's an interest rate you're going to be charged, but you don't have to pay that payment. You don't have to pay it at all for the entire 30-year term of the first mortgage. That's pretty wonderful. The interest rate is around 3.25%, and it fluctuates. So who knows what it will be tomorrow, but you don't have to make payments on it until you pay off the first mortgage. Now, if you want to refinance later on, I don't know why you would, with interest rates so low, then you'll have to pay it off. Or if you want to sell the home, you can do that as well, and then you'll have to pay it off, right? If you get in default, if you go into default, you'll have to pay it off. So, or it will be paid off through probably a foreclosure action. So you want to prevent that as much as possible. So the good news is that you don't have to make payments on it. It's help for down payment assistance, but you don't have to make payments. And guess what? The same thing applies on the ZIP program. It's again 3%. This time you're not limited to a dollar amount, 3%. And there is zero interest now being charged on this money you're getting. And again, you do not have to pay it off until you pay off the first mortgage 30 years from now. Or you can choose to refinance at a later date and pay it off at that time. Or you can make payments, by the way. You can make payments on either loan as often as you like. There's no prepayment penalty. You can do that. Or if you decide to sell the home, that's when you'll have to pay it off. So this is real down payment assistance. And I'm not too happy that they have reduced the sales price, or not the sales price, but the amount that they are contributing to the down payment. But it is what it is. It is what it is. You know, there's a lesson to be learned here, and that programs are not going to wait on you. They're just not. The interest rates are not going to wait on you, although for many of us and many of you who have been waiting around for interest rates to drop, you can't tell anybody that you predicted this, because it just wouldn't be true, right? We can thank the coronavirus. We can thank the election that we're going through. We can thank potential weakened activity, economic activity, because of the tariffs and the trade wars. There's a lot of people we need to thank for these very low interest rates. And now with the recent announcement by the Fed, we're going to see rates possibly fall even lower. I'm amazed about what I'm seeing already today. I locked in a customer today on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage at a 3.125%. And I believe that we're going to see 30-year interest rates in the 2% range. And for people who are willing to buy down the rate, they can probably get there now. And that's amazing to me. All right, so that's the California Housing Finance Authority. Looks like Jenny is back with us. Hey, Jenny. Again, if you're thinking about buying a home, you need to move quickly, because we can see the adjustment made by the California Housing Finance Authority as a shot over the bow. That change is coming. You know, and this is now the second change in the last 6 months. First change was increasing FICO scores from 660 to 680 for conventional loans, and from 640 to 660 on government loans. Now another change is that they are reducing the My Home, the down payment assistance, to a maximum of $10,000 or 3%, whichever is later. Do you think that there may be some more changes on the way? I believe there are. And so time is of the essence. The power is now to buy. And if you don't get on board, don't get on this train, you may be left behind because of new changes coming that could make it even more difficult for people to buy. One other thing to consider, and I learned this in talking with CalFHA, and that is the reason that changes are taking place is because there have been some indications of problems in their portfolio. People not making their payments, loans going into default. And so they're trying to raise the bar for more qualified individuals to buy the home. And it just seems, it seems a little unfair, but I can understand it. You know, if they don't, if people don't make their payments on time, if defaults rise, they may eliminate the program altogether. So this is the price we're paying for the challenges that they were seeing, and that is reduced down payment assistance and higher FICO score requirements. And so I guess I would rather see them continue to raise the FICO scores. I would rather continue to see them tighten up their underwriting guidelines than to eliminate the program altogether. But that is a possibility, not just with CalFHA, but any down payment assistance program. So we need to really focus in on our credit, focus in on our income, and get ourselves in a position to buy. Now, before I transition to another high-level overview of the Golden State Fund, I want to open it up for any questions. Jenny, any questions or commentary about what I've said so far? And Joe, I don't see your video, but I see your microphone. So if you want to jump in here, feel free to do so.
I just have a couple of comments. I have reached out to clients that have been on the fence, and I'm hoping that I actually do that. But I want to talk about the notice of default rate. I have been working on notice of defaults for the last 3 months, and they're becoming more and more prevalent. I'm just focusing on Corona primarily, and it's taking a lot of time and effort, but I know it's going to be worth it, whether it be just educating them as to what they need to do or to help them get out of a situation. But I think what's happening is they all did their modifications and they were able to kind of make their payments. But as things are getting a little bit harder and things are getting squeezed a little bit, I think I'm noticing that it's not their first time they've been in notice of default, I guess is what I'm saying. And they're repeating themselves. So the modifications were not working, and now they're coming to term and people are not being able to make those payments.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't surprise me, although it doesn't surprise me that we're seeing a lot of defaults. You know, it's rare that I see a debt ratio under 50%. They're right around in the high 40s or over 50% for a first-time home buyer, unless they are getting down payment assistance with Cal FHA or the Golden State Fund. They might be at 45%. But understand what 45% is. If a person is making, just for easy math, $1,000 a month gross income, we will allow them to buy a house if their total house payment and other debts is not more than 45%, or that would be $450, per thousand. So, but what's the reality? The reality is that people are not getting $1,000 a month based on our gross income analysis. They're getting about 70% of that. That'll be $700 a month. And so $700 a month represents a much higher debt ratio, right? And much less disposable income that's available for people to pay other things other than just a mortgage and maybe car payment and credit card bills. They have utilities, they have insurance, they have clothes and food and all those other expenses that come into play. And in many cases, first-time home buyers are not required to have any reserves to participate in these programs. And so not having any reserves leaves them really vulnerable to default. It's just something happened and their money is not there to address the issue, from car repair to missing hours at work to any of those kinds of issues. Or any financial disruption in their life or their business could result in default. So my recommendation is that we all, when we're working with our clients, we recommend they sit with a HUD counseling agency, a HUD counselor that can counsel them on their budget and their expenses. That they set up a great program I like to refer to all the time called mint.com, MINT.com. It's a great online budget program where they can see where their money is going. And that they need to really have a serious conversation about, what they qualify for versus what they can actually afford, so that they don't find themselves in default because of something happening in the near future. Looks like we have Kamisha joining us, and both Kamisha and Joe, we don't have your we don't have audio for you for Kamisha, and we don't have video for you Joe. But I'm glad you're on tonight, and if you are on the Facebook page, please let everybody know you're on and say hello. So that's my commentary, Jenny, on the default.
If I can put a little bit into that, I completely agree. And what I've been doing this for almost, too long, but not as long as you have in 38 years. But when I sit down with a buyer and when we're sitting there with the lender, It's not what you qualify for. It's what you're comfortable with. It's
Yeah.
what you're comfortable with at the end of the day. And I never push my clients to go, farther. I say, that's fine. They say, well, I'm not getting this much in my check. I'm only getting this much in my check. And then if it's taking this much, then I have nothing left over if something happens. And that is very important. And loan officers, mortgage brokers, they have a tendency to push, well, you qualify for this, so this is what you should buy. And that's not necessarily it. So if people need to move east, if they need to move wherever, that's what they need to do, but they don't need to be pushed into anything. But there's programs out there for people, and there are homes out there for people. Just because the inventory isn't huge doesn't mean that you can't buy.
I agree with that. There is low inventory, no question about it. And we're going to be dealing with low inventory folks for a long time. But the opportunities are there. The challenge I see, and I know that other agents on this call and those who may be watching us on Facebook will agree, that many people have just unreasonable expectations. We call it champagne taste and beer budgets, wanting really more than what they can actually afford. And the reality is that they need to just find a way to get in wherever they can afford. I know clients right now that I was working with several years ago that have still not bought. And what they were turning their nose up to in Northern California, they would love to be able to own a piece of property in that area now. And they can't even get in where they didn't want to be because home values have risen so quickly. So I want to encourage anyone thinking about buying not to get caught up in your dream fantasy of homeownership, but to deal with the realities of that, what you're buying may not be much better than where you're living right now and renting in terms of quality, location, and all that. But at least you own it, right? And that's the name of the game, to own real estate, not to rent real estate. If you want to be renting real estate, it's because you own a multiple unit building, and that's what you're renting out to others.
Can we go over the teacher program? Because I really want to start pushing this teacher program.
Well, actually, with the CalFHA product, the teacher program is going away.
No, I'm talking about the neighbor next door program. These teachers, I'm trying to reach the teachers. Yes.
Okay, yes. So the neighbor next door program is a great program for teachers and police officers. And the challenge for them also is finding, property. But if they look at the HUDhome.store, and for agents who have their NATE numbers, you have the opportunity to sell and market HUD properties. You should definitely do that because there are properties there that are available at 50% of the list price if a teacher or police officer or firefighter is willing to stay in that property for a minimum of 3 years. And what's so great about this is that they waive even the down payment, which is 3.5% on an FHA loan. So these are, you have the CalFHA product, you have the teacher, the Good Neighbor Next Door program, and now you have the Golden State Fund program, which is another wonderful program to help people get into homes. The primary difference between the Golden State Fund and the CalFHA Fund, the biggest difference is that the CalFHA requires you to pay back the money they're going to give you. Golden State, if you are a firefighter, if you're a teacher, a school administrator, there's a number of different occupations that they will just give you the money. It's not a loan. You can get up to 4% on the Platinum program towards down payment or closing costs. It's not limited to just one or the other, which is another distinct difference between CalFHA. That is the ability to get the money all in for free, no interest, no nothing, no loan, and in addition to that, to be able to use it for down payment or closing costs, and not just limited to closing costs, which is the ZIP program, or limited to down payment, which is the My Home program on CalFHA. The other thing I like about the Golden State program is that they will allow you to, they will forgive the loan. They will forgive the loan after 3 years if you fall outside of those select occupations. So if you're just a, if you're not a firefighter, if you're not a first responder, right? If you're not a first responder, you can still get the money they're willing to give you, up to 4% on the Platinum program, forgiven after 3 years. And so that is a major difference between CalFHA. One other thing too that I think is wonderful about the CalFHA, about the Golden State program as opposed to the CalFHA program, and that is the FICO score requirement. So far, they have not increased their FICO scores. Your minimum FICO score for the Platinum program is 640. 640, and I appreciate that. 640 FICO score, and think about that for a moment compared to the state of California 660. Now, I deal with a lot of first-time home buyers, and many of them have scores lower than 640. They're in the 620s, and they have to do some things to improve their FICO score. If they do that and get up to 640, they can get down payment assistance. That's forgivable after 3 years. And that, again, is a wonderful thing. Now, that 4% is enough to cover the down payment on an FHA loan. FHA is 3.5%. So if you're interested in participating in down payment assistance, both with the Golden State or with the CalFHA, reach out to me. It starts with first getting pre-approved. Go to applytobuynow.com, applytobuynow.com. And that's where it starts. Complete an application in the comfort of your home or office. Run your credit report. So when we see it, which is literally within minutes after you hit the submit button, we see your application, we see your credit score. We can tell you right away if you are pre-qualified to participate either in the CalFHA product or the Golden State product. Either way, you just let us know and which way you want to go. Now, once you're pre-approved, then you get to work with one of our fabulous VIP agents, and we have them on the line with us now, and we have others on our website. Go to thepowersnow.com, look under VIP agent, and there you can find someone in your local area to work with if you haven't found an agent to work with. And of course, if you would like a recommendation, give me a call. We all know that recommended business is the best business. It always is. And so give me a call and I'll be happy to recommend an agent that's familiar, first of all, with these programs and other down payment assistance programs and can help you find a home of your dream that fits within these parameters. Now, I'm going to open up the lines again, and we have more agents that have joined us. Kamisha Kesey has joined us. Success Money has joined us. Joe Fisher. So far, Jenny, I appreciate you bringing up the Good Neighbor Next Door program and the teachers. What a great way to save on the sales price of the home. And also being able to recognize that in getting pre-approved, it's not what you are qualified for, is what you can afford. Those are very, very important things to consider when getting pre-approved to buy a home. Are there any other questions about the Golden State program or the CalFHA product or that we might want to cover from our VIP agents?
The Golden State one, we can do up to 4 units, correct?
Oh, thank you for bringing that up. I don't know of another down payment assistance program anywhere that is providing down payment assistance up to 4 units. And the only thing that I regret about this program is the limit. The loan limit is $510,000. I think it's $510,400 is the maximum loan amount, whether it's 1, 2, 3, or 4 units. Now, if you're buying a home using FHA and you're not getting down payment assistance, well, the more units you buy, the higher the loan limit is. As high as $1.3 million is available under FHA, but you got to be putting the 3.5% down your money. There's no down payment assistance. But there are some areas down here in Southern California, I understand in Barstow and Victorville and further out, there are 4-unit properties for sale that are under $500,000 or in that range. And so you may be able to qualify with down payment assistance, that's 4%, right, to buy a 4-unit building using the Golden State program. And again, think about that for a moment. $500,000, that's 20 grand. completely forgivable after 3 years in the property. And if you are a first responder, if you are a first responder, it is given to you upfront, no strings attached. It's not a loan, it's not deferred or any, it is free money to you, no interest rate, no nothing. You just got to be a first responder. And of course, on a 4-unit building, you have to occupy. You have to occupy one of those units in order to qualify for this kind of financing.
I think that this program is something that we really should push, because there are a lot of single firefighters, teachers, EMTs, whatever out there, and they don't spend too much time at home besides sleeping and eating. So if they get enough sleep or enough food, so they're only there for a short amount of time, and that's totally worth it if the property is paying for itself, no money down, FHA.
Right.
It's a no-brainer. And
Yeah.
you know, I really want to do more outreach with regards to that and more marketing regarding that. Yes.
Jenny, you're just full of great points tonight, Jenny. Thank you. You're reminding me to bring up a very important point, because most first-time home buyers do not want to buy condominiums. They don't want to buy townhouses. They want to buy a house. And they certainly do not want to buy a 4-unit building, because, in fact, I have one first-time home buyer tell me, listen, I've been living in apartments all my life. I don't want to buy another apartment. And of course, my response was, listen, the difference is that you own that apartment and the other 3. And so being able to purchase a 4-unit building, the primary benefit there is that you eliminate your mortgage expense. I mean, and you can't even buy the property, by the way. The property has to qualify. That means it has to cash flow. The payment, the mortgage payment, cannot exceed the rents, and that's after a vacancy factor. So for example, if the total rents on the property were $1,000, each, it's a 4-unit building, each unit is renting for $250 a month, right? Of course, it doesn't exist anywhere, but this is just for math purposes. So we're going to take 75% of that $1,000, that's $750. So that means you couldn't get a mortgage. You cannot get a mortgage with a payment greater than $750, or the property doesn't qualify. So the property has to qualify, number one, which means if the property qualifies, then your debt service ratio is 1-to-1, and that means it's cash flow or break even either way. And what does that mean ultimately? It means you don't have a mortgage payment to pay. You don't have rent to pay. You don't have a mortgage to pay. And in fact, that's just the first year. The next year, you're going to raise rents, and now you're going to be experiencing cash flow. And in many cases, for first-time home buyers that I've helped put into 4-unit properties, they've had $500 to $700 a month in cash flow day one. Day one, they had cash flow, and it just kept growing from there. The other thing that I want to point out, and to Jenny's point, if you don't want to be a landlord and you don't want to live in a 4-unit property, consider this: you only have to stay there for 1 year. Now, because of your profession, you may not be there all the time anyway, but you only have to stay there for 1 year. Then you can move out and rent out that unit you're in. Now you're really into the cash flow. If you're getting, $1,800, $2,000, whatever the case might be, that's all cash flow to you. And that may help you move to your next property, which could be another 4-unit building, which is what I would recommend. Get about, 16 to 20 units under your belt before you decide to settle down into a single family home. That's what I would recommend, at least for my first-time home buyers. And so
I completely agree. I completely agree. Yes.
Yeah.
Building wealth is through real estate.
That's it. It is. It is. And what I like about the 4-unit option is not only you're building wealth, but you're also building income, and you're building a legacy. If you never sell it, it'll eventually be paid off, and your children or your grandchildren will be able to benefit from the income from that property for years to come. I'm going to conclude with a couple of points that I want everyone to consider. Once you get started on the process here as a first-time home buyer, keep in mind that once you have applied, you are on financial lockdown. You should not use your credit cards. You should not refinance your vehicles. You should not move any money around. You should not change your job if you're looking at changing jobs. You should not do anything until you have not only found a property, but you have closed and the keys have been delivered to you. I had one client, they were approved, they were under contract, we were just about ready to close, and the spouse went out and financed a bunch of furniture to furnish the house. Of course, she wasn't aware, and I'm not sure if I told her or not, that you can't do anything until it's done. I just, sometimes we make assumptions and people should know, right? But we will run your credit again the day before or the morning of funding the loan. We're going to run the credit again just to make sure that you haven't done anything. And sure enough, we ran the credit report and up popped up that inquiry of furniture. So we had to call to see if an actual account was open. And sure enough, a $10,000 line of credit was open to buy a whole bunch of furniture. And actually, the furniture was purchased. And so they had to go back to their parents because their parents had given them a gift for the down payment, and they had to get additional money to pay off that loan in order to qualify for the mortgage. Thank God their parents had the money to do that. If they didn't, we would have had to deny their loan. And what a sad situation that would have been. I'm talking moving trucks. I'm talking ready to move out. I'm talking ready to move in. And they went out and did that. So no, when you start the pre-approval process, you got to be all in. You can't be halfway in. You got to be all in and know that the transaction is coming to a close. And when it happens, when we're ready to close, we're ready to close. And you can't have not done anything. You cannot change your job. You cannot have refinanced your car. You cannot have moved your money around. It's a pre-approval is like a picture. You look at me right now. You see me with a Glen Platt vest on with a pink and gray tie. You take a picture of me, boom, it's done, right? It's locked in forever. You have this image of me right now. Well, 30 days from now, if I were alone, the underwriter would want to see that same picture. They want to see the same Glen Platt gray vest with the gray and pink tie. That's what they want to see. Otherwise, they're not going to do the loan. And that's how it works, folks. So you got to maintain. You can't do anything while you're going through the process. All right. Well, we're going to conclude here. And before we do, I'm going to give an opportunity to my VIP agents who are on. If you can turn your microphone on, we can hear you. Please take this opportunity for those of you who just come on, to introduce yourself and let us know your market area. And there may be someone watching or listening on Blog Talk Radio or on our social media sites that may want to talk with you about either buying or selling buying a home or selling their home. And folks, I would encourage you to work with a VIP agent. They've been vetted. I highly recommend them as great people that can help you achieve your goals. So Jenny, I see your mic is up and ready to go. Why don't you go first, and I'm going to move on to the next person.
Yes, I'm Jenny Gonzalez with Keller Williams Corona, and I service all of Southern California from LA all the way down to Orange County, Riverside County, San Bernardino County, San Diego County, anywhere. My number is 951-316-0374. My license number is 0124-9788, and my email is jengonzalezre@gmail.com. And I have been doing this for 21 years proudly. I have a background in lending, which is why I'm so interested in all of this stuff. Always trying to keep up with the times and always educating myself, always educating buyers and sellers, and always out there willing to help. So if anybody needs me, go ahead and give me a call.
Thank you, Jenny. Well, folks, we're going to call this a wrap. Thank you for joining us this evening. Our next show will be on the third Tuesday of this month of March. Every first and third Tuesday of each and every month, We are on Facebook Live, we're on Blog Talk Radio, and I want to encourage you to tune in. You may learn something that can help you achieve the dream of homeownership. And it doesn't have to just be a dream. It can be a reality if you're working with the right team. You're working with the right agent. You're working with the right loan officer that can guide you and help you to become a homeowner. There's a lot to know, but you can do it. I know you can. Well, again, thank you for joining us. Please like us on Facebook and subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter and become a member of the Power Is Now by going to our membership page on thepowerisnow.com. And I appreciate that those of you who are members are receiving our magazine. It is an e-magazine. Share that magazine with others. Great information about homeownership and about economics here in California and throughout the United States. Thank you for joining us this evening. Have a wonderful day. Talk to you soon.